Raindrops keep falling on my head.
It has a darker tone. It's more serious.
It takes your breath away, and you're sitting there saying, "I need to breathe, need to get my breath back," and it doesn't give you a chance.
And you really care about all the characters.
You said the soundtrack annoyed you.
I don't really understand what was going through the filmmaker's head. Hi, I'm Butch Camino.
And I'm Flink Camino.
And welcome to Bombs Away. The movie we'll be reviewing today is called Butch, Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. It was directed by George Roy Hill. It stars Paul Newman, Robert Redford and Catherine Moss.
It's a 1969 classic. It's a great western and it's a great buddy film. It's a lot of fun. It's a comedy and it's got great action.
It's also very dramatic as well. It's an epic.
It's a real epic.
Very long. It feels like it earns that runtime. But let's not drag on this intro too much. Let's go right into the positives.
Obviously, Robert Redford and Paul Newman are fantastic in the film. They give great performances. They have great chemistry
Really
since they're also going to do The Sting in the 70s.
I think this was their first film together, but
Yeah.
they did All the President's Men and The Sting. Just an amazing duo.
They just went on and on.
In the late 60s and early 70s.
No one could stop them really, and they did lots.
They couldn't stop them.
And it's obvious they have great chemistry from the very beginning. There's great banter. That's probably up to the writing.
Excellent stuff.
But they're skewing neatly into the writing, much like we should. And the writing is fantastic. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it is superb writing, great banter, and the
Excellent
action. It's
It's
dramatic.
really like well written. I mean, the film is quite slow paced. To be quite honest with you, like if you're expecting in Western with a whole ton of action, there is action in it.
Funny.
But it's more of a character sort of a movie, and that takes real skill to pull off and to still make it feel exciting for a whole like 2.5 hours or whatever it is. Even though it's quite slow paced, and so very, very clever writing, very, very well written, I think.
Yeah.
And it contains the one of the most famous montages in film history, and we really must talk about this. The famous "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head" montage. And just watching that, you can see why it's iconic. It's probably one of the first montages to just completely have the guts to totally strip away all sound except for the music. Like there's absolutely no sound. It's just the visuals and the music, and it's very sort of
70s, 60s.
It's very dreamy. It's
Yes.
like you feel like you're watching it at a distance, and it's got a very interesting and it has sort of a reputation as being weird.
Weird?
It's very important later on in the movie. Like,
Yeah.
it actually is a very important.
So you
character.
care about the characters, don't you care about all the characters, since they are criminals.
Absolutely, that's another important thing later on, and you really care about all the characters and what happens. to them.
Yeah. But also, I just think the cinematography is amazing.
Oh, beautiful cinematography!
Oh,
Absolutely stunning. The film starts off introducing the characters. It's actually tinted in sepia.
Yeah,
so it's not in full color, which is a very, very interesting effect. And it's just, for a filmmaker like me, I get very, very geeky about all those 70s vintage lenses and the shallow depth of field and the widescreen process. It's just classic and
it takes your breath away, and you're sitting there saying, "I need to breathe, need to get my breath back," and it doesn't give you a chance because it just keeps going. It's all good.
One thing that I really love about the film is that it's got a constant sort of sad undertone to it, because the whole film is about them being chased by a posse, and the posse is never really actually shown close up. It's sort of like, it's always in the distance, but it's always sort of a very looming threat. We actually went into this movie blind. We
were blind as a bat.
We
Couldn't see a
like
single
westerns. We actually seem to be going on a bit of a western spree.
Oh yeah, we went through a lot. We watched Magnificent Seven.
All of the ones. From the brilliance of the Magnificent Seven to the absolute trash that was Silverado. that was a whole ton of time that I can never get back. This really felt like something that I've always heard about, and I've always heard that it's sort of a classic, but we never sort of really knew what it was about. And so watching it, we were surprised. We sort of thought that it'd be more of a cheesy sort of old-fashioned western thing, but really what it is more of actually a revisionist western. If I'm being quite honest, like it has a revisionist feel. It's not at all like a 50s western. It feels like it has a darker tone. It's more serious.
Yeah.
And more realistic and grounded.
Let's move on to the opposite.
To the negatives.
For negatives, there isn't really much, but I have to say, you said the soundtrack annoyed you. I didn't really mind it much, but you said it really.
It's weird. I don't like. I mean, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. That's a famous one. I mean, that song that just gets stuck in your head. It's not only that, but there's this weird sort of vocal music with another soundless montage. It's just the music choices are a bit out there. I don't really understand what was going through the filmmaker's head.
I think mostly drugs and
well, it was 1969.
Yeah,
so,
late 60s, so it's about to happen. But it really is a great element of the film.
It creates a very specific feel, but it's just it plays with your head a lot. I think a lot of critics just sort of couldn't get their head around it when it first came out. Like, it had very mixed response when it first came out because it's just the tone jumps around a lot. So sometimes it can be very, very serious, and just some of the best drama I've seen written for the screen. And other times it's like it's really, really goofy and funny and then other times like action scenes with weird music. It's like it somehow just works at the end. But yeah, I'm not sure if the film. But I must say though, while on the subject of music, and then you use the film score buff for notes, this is almost. I don't think there's any original soundtrack in there. There's no instrumental soundtrack whatsoever.
I mean, when there isn't strange musical choices, it's pretty much just dead silence.
Yeah, like
most of the chases played out in dead silence.
A lot of filmmakers would when they're being chased by a posse, or some sort of Western action music. It's just out of silence, and somehow that actually it makes it more of a thriller.
Well,
it makes it more suspense.
Do you feel stressed now, Jen?
To take a short break to gripe about modern filmmaking here, it's not done anymore.
It's all back. It's back again.
It's just constant music, and not even that, but the music isn't appreciated. Like we watched No Time to Die recently, and it just feels a world away from the old Bond films. The old Bond films, there was very little music, but when there was, it was at the forefront. It was there, it was big and bombastic, and it was awesome. And when you've got Hans Zimmer working on a soundtrack, you don't put it in the background.
What are you doing? You complete morons.
No Time to Die had constant music all the way through it, but it was so low under all the VFX and all these action effects. It was lost, and for me that's a bit of a tragedy.
Well, you're seeing less A24 films are more independent films. You're seeing you're
seeing a little more bold music.
Yeah, you're seeing mostly sound design or really avant-garde music.
I just hope that people get a little more creative with it and don't just sort of especially in big blockbuster movies, they don't just have the music to say, oh, just score this and we'll put it in the background, and we have just a bit of action music in the background. It's like, I hope filmmakers can be a little more, give the music a little more thought than that. The runtime, it gets to you, there's points where it's just like, you could have cut it
halfway through.
I mean, it's certainly not Once Upon a Time in the West.
The last thing I remember is feeling very drowsy and tired, and then I can't remember anything at all after that.
It's slow paced.
It's more like Once Upon a Time the movie started. And,
there seems seemingly an endless sort of chunk of the film where they're just running over to behind these rocks, and then the posse catch up with them, and they've got to go across this river, and the posse catch up with them. They've got to go through the forest, and the posse catch up. It's like, come on. It gets a little monotonous after a while. There is still tension.
It's like the 5-minute montage of the strange swirling sepia images of just what. Anyway, but it's an unusual film, but it's a bit offbeat. It depends on your attention span.
That's a good way to describe it. It's an offbeat sort of Western.
It really depends on your attention span.
Please like the video,
subscribe
to the channel, and hit the bell button.
Ding!
So you can get notifications when brand new videos come out, which happens all the time.
Yeah. Also, please comment below anything you want to see us review, you want to see us pick apart. We're happy to. We'll watch pretty much anything. And so just if you have any ideas, any advice, we're open to any suggestions. And please, what do you think of this review? Are we a bit too offbeat? Should we be nailed down?
Should we be normal?
Yeah.
Or should we have more weird musical choices? And until next time, I'm Fletcher Camino.
And I'm Flynn Camino.
And thank you for watching Bombs Away.
Raindrops keep falling on my head, but that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be turning red. Crying's not for me.